today. I'd like to thank and introduce the moderator for this session, Gillian Hammond, who is Principal at Rector of Dubai and Chief Education Officer, to introduce the students. But the students here today are all doing wonderful things in their lives. They're not waiting until they finish school to start to do the real exciting things that they're doing. And we're going to talk to them today about finding their path to passion and how that passion helps them in learning. And they've got some fantastic passions that I'm going to talk to you about. So I'll hand over to you, Julian, and let's hear all about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? No? Yes, thank you. This morning then, we really want to ask these students how we can help them more. Because in our careers advice, we can sometimes put some barriers in place for our students. What we want to do is try and completely remove them and have them think outside of the box and maybe away from some of the traditional roles that some of our students in the past have always pursued. We want to really, really challenge ourselves to think about passion-led learning. And so we've selected these very talented young people up on this stage with us today, who I'm going to let introduce themselves actually. We've lined them up almost perfectly with their pictures. You can imagine they were very embarrassed by some of these photographs as soon as it went up. But perhaps, George, can you start for us at the end, please, and introduce yourself?
Yes, my name's George Roberts, and I'm a top 10 ranked golfer in the UAE, and I go to BSAC.
And just before we pass on, my biggest question for him this morning was, have you beaten Mr. Lepard at golf yet?
He hasn't, because we've never played.
George, do you think you will beat Mr. Lepard when you play golf?
I couldn't do it to him.
I love that. Okay, Anya, thank you.
Hi, my name is Anya. I'm 11 years old and I'm currently studying at Junior College in Year 7. My passion is giving back to the community. I made my own initiative called Giving, Impacting, Volunteering, and Elevating.
Thank you. Megha?
Hi, my name is Megha Kaleshwar. I'm in Year 11 at the English College Dubai. And right now my biggest passion has been women's health, and me and some of my friends actually started our own nonprofit organization in partnership with DP World, where we're administering a drug called misoprostol in rural areas of Africa for women that go through things like BH, especially because in some parts of rural Africa, the maternal mortality rate is much higher than it should be in the 21st century.
Thank you. Anders?
I'm Anders, and I go to BSAC, and I'm the world qualifier champion of Europe and Asia for under 16 in 2024.
Brilliant. And I certainly missed it this morning, but there was a performance this morning that you kindly gave. We had a little dance floor on the stage this morning, and you were very brave and did that for us, so congratulations. There's also some other news, I think, that you've been very modest in at the moment. You just came first in another competition, I think. Is that correct? You're off now into some international competition?
Yeah, after I came first, now I'm heading to the Worlds in Dublin for the World Championships in Dublin. So, yeah.
Congratulations. Let's give Anders a big round of applause. We'll be watching that stage and hoping that you're going to bring that trophy back to the UAE, please.
Hopefully.
Yes. And Maha.
Hi everyone, my name is Maha. I go to Dubai College and I love robotics, so I merged my interest with robotics and empowering people of determination. So I create prosthetics for amputees and patients of paralysis. Now these prosthetics range from body power prosthetics to muscle control prosthetics to eye control prosthetics and even mind control prosthetics.
Thank you so much. And we can see an interesting picture about some of these prosthetics behind us. I wonder if we stay with you, Maha, if you could talk to us a little bit about how you discovered this passion. Is it something that has been slow burning, or was it a sudden realization?
That's a great question. So it actually started at our GCSE. Now our GCSE is very project-based, so there's a lot of freedom on what you get to do. Now the first theme, so to speak, was rock, paper, scissors. And I thought, why not merge my interests with arts and robotics and create a robotic hand that plays rock, paper, scissors with you. Now, from that passion and that project, I realized that I could merge that with empowering people with disabilities. So from there, I partnered with a global organization called Enable, where I 3D printed and manufactured prosthetics for amputees free of charge. And from this work, I then, it cascaded into a passion, and I built my first mind control prosthetic for less than $300. That work gained traction at NYU Abu Dhabi, and over the past summer, I worked with them as a funded researcher to create an eye control prosthetic as well. So to answer your question, it all started from that project-based learning in our GCSE.
Brilliant. And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I just turned 18.
18. And when did you start this passion? When were you starting to do that with prosthetics?
Around 15.
Perfect, thank you. Now over to Meha. I see you nodding there, you were listening to what Maha was saying. It sounds like you've done an awful lot of research as well into your passion. How did your passion start?
I think it started from a very young age actually. So I always wanted to be an OBGYN. That was my dream career.
At what age?
I think 9 to 10 years old. I kind of knew I wanted to be. I was telling my mom I wanted to be an OBGYN. But I think I started reading more about that field, and then I kind of came across maternal mortality. And it kind of shocked me how that in some parts of the world that women are so like not privileged to have to go through that. And a wonderful teacher in our school actually knew a professor from the University of Liverpool who was doing the exact same thing. So in winter break I got to talk to him actually about his work as well, and that kind of inspired me and 2 other friends to start something of our own to help women in parts of Africa.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Anya, how about yourself? How did you discover your passion?
So my passion of giving back to the community was, I figured it out when I grew up watching my family donate. It was kind of like a family tradition, a minimum of 1 time a year that we would donate to any cause of our choice. And when we kept on going to different organizations and meeting the people, the underprivileged people there, I realized how grateful and how fortunate we are, and we shouldn't take this for granted. And that's when I realized that there are many people there who are suffering. It doesn't have to be us, but it can be other people, and we have to just support them as much as we can.
Brilliant, very inspiring. I hope we're all listening in this room right now being inspired, I'm sure, particularly that such young people can take on this ownership and this passion that sometimes we might not even discover unless we ask these questions. So, George, who has inspired you with your passion? Is there somebody in particular, and what support might they have given you thus far?
It's always been my dad. He got me into it and keeps me going. He sacrifices ridiculous amounts of things just so that I can keep doing what I love. And that keeps me going.
Brilliant. And how about you, please, Andy? Who's inspired you?
Probably my teachers, because
You don't have to say that, by the way.
my teacher, because when I first joined dance, it was all girls, and I wanted to leave straight away.
I bet you want to join now.
And since I saw him perform on stage and stuff, that's really inspired me to continue my journey with dance. And I've also seen a bunch of male stars at the world to get to school.
Brilliant, well done. Maha, could you talk to us a little bit about any challenges that you face in trying to deliver what you're hoping to do and to follow and pursue your passion?
For sure. So, my passion was initially inspired by my brother. He is special needs and mute, and it's always been extremely difficult to communicate with him and understand his needs. So I went into the field of brain-computer interfaces to understand his brain and hopefully in the future provide some sort of technology that can empower him. Now, this didn't come easy. There were a lot of struggles along the way. When I tried to understand him or implement some of my solutions with him, it's very difficult to understand if it's helping him or putting him at a detriment. And of course, I love him dearly and I would never want to harm him or hurt him in any way. So I think it's that fine balance of, trying to help someone, but then also knowing when to stop and just take care of them, if that makes
And
sense.
has the school been able to support you with any of this at all, or have there been barriers because of your curriculum and your studies?
Actually, Dubai College has been extremely helpful in that sense. Last year, when I needed a bit of funding to create a myoelectroprosthetic for an amputee, they offered to fund it wholeheartedly. They created a working space in the computer science area where I could spend hours upon hours after school just prototyping, 3D printing, failing, until I finally created a working product that helped the amputee in need. So
That failing is absolutely critical. What I hear from all of you really is resilience. You are keeping at it and keep pursuing your passion. Anya, how have you dealt with any challenges that you faced? Do you think you've been supported and guided?
So there are always challenges when I donate to different organizations, especially because I make arts and crafts at home. And I have to make sure that I sell them around my community and I get a reasonable amount of money that can be donated to charity. So there's always that challenge when you're confused if people are actually going to buy what you make at home, or if people are going to be interested in helping with charity. Because at the end of the day, you do have to buy it and pay for it. Even if it helps for charity, not everyone does that. So that's definitely a challenge. And so there's many people that support me. My parents support me in doing this. They always help me spread out the word and give. And so whenever I have a new idea of what other creation to make, my parents make posters and videos and send them around the community, spreading the word about it.
Amazing. Anya, how can we all support you in here with these arts and craft sales? What's the best seller that you have at the moment or that you've seen? What's the best crafty thing or something that you've made that you've been able to sell the most?
So I have done arts and crafts almost every year. Well, actually every year. And they're all ideas. And so it's lights, like lanterns, and we sell them around the festive times so that people can light them up when they're celebrating the festivals. And one that people have really supported in is when we donated to the victims of the Turkey and Syria earthquake. So we knew we had to act fast, so we had baked cookies, and we had sold those cookies around the community. With the money we earned, we had bought 25 pairs of socks and 50 blankets, which we had donated to the victims of the Turkey and Syria earthquake.
Amazing, well done. Now there'll be lots of people in here wanting to support you in your next give drive, I'm sure. So let's make sure that we get some emails where you'll be able to sell the products on in an even bigger circle across the UAE. Anders, your passion is a really specific one that might be very unique. I love that. So maybe if we want any demos done in any of our schools across the UAE, we could invite you across and come and inspire some of our students as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant, really love you to be able to do that. So if we start to think about your future and beyond, where is this leading to and what do you need to get there?
So I'm going to go to the US university and then hopefully become like fully pro after that. And right now I need to just focus on getting through GCSEs and then A-levels. And it's actually been great with helping me because I've like learning difficulties and they've always supported me and had one-to-one all the time. And all my exams I will scribe and read them.
Brilliant, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. And then when you go to university in the US, you'll continue your passion there, I would imagine.
Yeah, because there's golf teams where you play, but you also have to keep up with academics as well.
Very important. Great to have a backup, isn't it, at all times, I think. Megan, how about you? What does the future hold for you?
Yes, I also want to go to university in the US. But I think for me, my biggest goal in life is to help as many people as possible, and I genuinely do that to the best of my ability. So I think for that, I would have to make a lot of money first, so that I can continue doing that. But I think I can be supported by the people around me and with recognizing that goal and helping me get there.
I think with your credibility and your passion, you might not have to earn it all yourself, but persuade others. So you need to be good at persuasion and negotiation and reaching out and getting amazing people to be able to help you to find that funding.
Yeah.
So, Maha, how about yourself? Future, what does that look like? More of this, I hope.
I hope so too. So I recently got admitted to Stanford University.
Congratulations.
So
That's where everyone.
So I hope to do computer science and neuroscience there. I want to become a neurosurgeon with a background in electrical engineering. That way I can not only create brain-computer interfaces, but implement them into patients with paralysis or stroke victims, such that they can do actions we take for granted, like speaking, moving, or even just being independent.
Thank you so much. Now, I'd like us to think about any advice that we could give to the education experts in this room for how we can ensure that we lead learning for our students through their passions. What is a way that we can do that? What advice can we give people in here now of things that you wish had been slightly different, perhaps with careers advice or relationships or opportunities? Is there any advice you can think of that we could give to the experts in this field in education of how we can hopefully improve people pursuing their passions from a really early age of such a variety and range that we wouldn't even be able to guess? Anya, could you start off on giving that advice for us, perhaps?
So, I think I would advise school heads that we should make much more donation drives, and we should definitely spread the word of helping others, even if right now nothing's happening to the underprivileged children, or if it doesn't have to be an earthquake or war, it just has to be to help other people. It doesn't matter if they're going through something, because actually everyone is going through something. If they're suffering mentally, physically, everyone is going through something, and I feel that we just need to encourage students and expose them to, and we need to make sure that those students meet people who are suffering. So they know that living so fortunate is not for everyone. Everyone is suffering in some way. And I feel that we need to expose students to different people, like if it's underprivileged children, people who have health problems. I think that we should expose students to people who are underprivileged and suffering.
Have you got any ideas of how we can actually do that in schools? Have you seen it work really well in some way, or have you got other ideas of what we could do?
I think that I have an idea that we can make groups. So in school we have groups where we can, like, so one group can support
work, because those groups could do some research then, and they could find the people that they need to influence and persuade as well. That's an excellent idea. George, how about you? Are there some things that you'd like to offer advice to heads and schools today?
The only thing I'd say is just make sure that you push your kids to do what they want to do, and make sure that they can balance their school and their passion, because sometimes it can be very school driven, which is an amazing thing because you want to get your academics, but you also want to push, to do what you want to do, and giving kids the time off that they need to go and do that, but then also giving them the support when they come back or they need it to be able to catch up and stay on track.
Brilliant, and I think we need to ask that, right? I hope that none of you know any of your friends or peers who are struggling on their own with a passion that the school doesn't know about. That would be horrible, wouldn't it? So well, perhaps we just need to ask the question a bit more as well to find out what are their passions, what are their real interests, and see what resources we can bring in. Like, have you got some ideas and some advice that you would like to offer?
I think I have some very similar idea to what George said, but I think also right now in the 21st century, the most employable skill is probably being able to use AI in an effective way and in a productive way. So right now in the school curriculum, as far as I know, there isn't much of an AI influence, even though it is taking over the workforce and the way people think rapidly. And the next generation of students are going to be brought up with having AI, right? So if you kind of go back to 2000 when Google started becoming a thing, from textbook-based learning, we kind of changed a little bit to using the internet. So I think AI is similar to that. So if we had the curriculum change to almost adapt to what the workforce needs in terms of technology, I think that could be very beneficial for students when they're planning out their careers.
Amazing idea. Can we see a show of hands in this room? How many of us have integrated AI into our curriculums already? That's not a little bit. Some people are saying a little bit, but yeah, probably more than we would think, which is excellent. So maybe if you've got somebody on your table who has started that journey, please do have a conversation with them of how they're doing that and share that. There are amazing tools out there already that we can all live to celebrate and use within our schools straight away. We've all had to tackle that challenge of making sure AI doesn't complete people's coursework or essays or their exams. So we've done that, but now we need to accelerate the learning as well using AI and make sure our students are able to utilise this in the best ways. And Anders, any advice that you would love to give to this audience today? Captive audience.
Well, school is obviously very important, so I would always push them towards their school first. But then at the end of the day, we all have one life, so I would always push them to what they want to do in the future, which can allow them to enjoy their life as they get older, but always complete your schoolwork.
Very strong and important message. And see that brainwashing there. It's good, and I'm glad you're doing that. But you're right, we can actually only be happy in the future if we're pursuing things we love. Right? We know we're going to be happier. Any of you who's involved in coaching or have had coaches or mentors, the first thing they're always going to say to you is, what is your ultimate goal? Where do you want to be? What do you see yourself doing? And actually, if we can turn this into careers for our young people in the future, they're going to be world leaders in this. They're really going to be huge successes and enjoy the rest of their life. They're going to work for an awful long time. Let's make sure they really, really enjoy it. Maha, finally to you, what advice would you like to give this audience today?
I think to the other panelists, I think Einstein said the same, where if you teach a fish how to walk, they'll spend the rest of their life thinking they're stupid. I think it's really important for both teachers and students to be flexible in the curriculum. For instance, in year 8, when I initially became interested in robotics and microprocessors, there was no curriculum at school, so to speak, that had that built into it. But when I went to my CS teacher and I asked him, is there a way to integrate this? Within a few weeks, he had created not a perfect, but a makeshift small curriculum for people like me. And lo and behold, 4 years later, it grew into the second most sought after curriculum in the school. Why? Because he was willing to be adaptable, even if it wasn't going to be the best to begin with. Because that's, I think, a trait a teacher and a student has to have. The idea of taking a risk in order to risk it for the risk.
I love that. And we need to, we're totally responsible